to get someone so mad they want to move, you have to have a huge rent increase. I've seen cases where the rent was $400 and the person went to $700 in one day. You can't build any more mobile home parks. And I've been in this for 30 years, and in 30 years, the net number of parks has decreased rather than gone up. Life is a tapestry of all your little lessons learned, right? And so clearly, there were parks in the early days I would never bought today.
Right.
Because I've learned too much. But I could have never gotten to today if I hadn't bought those early parks.
Yep. There's a huge shortage of affordable housing in this country, and that's about as affordable as you can get.
That's right. Fun rings off the hook.
Welcome back to Lifetime Cash Flow through Real Estate Investing. I'm Rod Cleef, and I'm thrilled you're here. And I'm really going to enjoy today's interview with an icon in the mobile home park space. His name's Frank Rolfe, and I actually went to Frank's boot camps twice in a year, two times in a couple of years back in Denver a lifetime ago, because I was going to get into the mobile home park space in a big way. Now, Frank and his partner Dave were were fifth largest operators in the country at one time with 250 parks. Now, he sold off a bunch of them since then, and teaches this stuff. Has forgotten more about mobile home parks than probably anybody in the country. And so we're going to have a wide-ranging conversation about mobile home parks today. Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, thanks very much, Ralph. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So I know you can do a much better job with that bio than I did, but maybe you can just tell your story. Start with your story, huh?
Sure. I was a guy who basically started off out of college with starting to build billboards on the highway. And along the way, I built 2 billboards on a mobile home park called Glen Haven down in Dallas. And out and about in my car, I would sometimes get a call from the owner of the mobile home park asking me if I could go over and knock on the manager's door and ask him why he won't answer the phone.
Wow.
So I was going over to Glen Haven, not all the time, but probably I get this call once a quarter. Go bang on the guy's door. Guy would come out of the door, typically in his underwear, half asleep, wanted to know why I was banging on his door. I said, hey, Rod wants you to call him and tell him why you won't answer the phone. And in my continual driving through of the park, I found it, like most Americans, kind of gross, but kind of interesting that there was this business model that I knew absolutely nothing about, just as weird as billboards. And I realized one item, which is the things were scarce, because in the billboard business, you build on certain zonings, and the mobile home park zoning, which allowed for billboards, I could only find it on the entire Dallas map, maybe 15 times.
Wow.
And I thought, this is strange stuff. So kept doing the billboard thing, sold out to a public company, had to restart my life over from scratch from a business perspective, started calling up some of these I had 300 billboards. I was calling people to say, hey, how's your business work? Trying to feel out if it's profitable, if that's something I should look into.
Mobile home park owners.
No, just anybody.
Okay.
Dairy Queen.
Anybody that had a billboard. Gotcha.
Anyone that had a billboard on the
Gotcha.
property.
Okay.
And so I called up this guy, and he said, hey, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll sell you the mobile home park right now over the phone. And I'm like, well, I don't know anything about mobile home parks. I'm just trying to fact-finding mission. The guy said, no. You'll be great at it. It's just as weird as billboards. You just jump into it. I'll make you a deal you can't refuse. I said, what's that? He says, I'll sell to you for $400,000, $10,000 down. I'll carry the paper, $390,000 of paper for 30 years.
Wow.
I thought I have nothing at risk here.
Right.
$10,000. If I get in it,
how many pads?
I hate it. It had about 83 pads.
Wow.
Yeah, sandwiched into about 6 acres of land. And I thought, you know what? I'll give it a whirly-dirly.
Okay.
So I said, okay, I'll do it. And since I knew nothing of the business or anything, I didn't do any due diligence.
Wow.
Didn't do a phase 1. Any of the things you normally should do, didn't do it. Didn't do a survey. Didn't do anything at all.
Wow.
Right? Basically just bought this thing with no more knowledge than a normal person would have, plus driving through it a few times. And of course, I knew there was a problem with it, or you wouldn't sell it that cheap. So I said, on the front end, what's my hurdle here? And he said, well, you're losing $2,000 a month. Just so you know that from closing, you'll be losing $2,000 a month. And I thought, okay. So I looked through his stuff, and his rents are crazy low. He's charging like $150 to $170 a month in Dallas, right?
Wow.
That's crazy. But I noticed he had a cable contract that he was paying It was like back then, $30 a month for every pad, whether it was vacant or occupied. And I thought, well, that's stupid. He's only half occupied. So how does this make any sense? So I went to the cable company and they said, oh yeah, you can terminate this at any time. So I terminated that.
Wow.
Back to even. Started raising the rents. They shut another mobile home park down to build the Dallas jail, believe it or not.
Wow.
They had to cut loose 100 people. Went to that owner, saw in the paper he was kicking everyone out. I said, I got 40 vacant lots. I'll take 40 of your people. He was ecstatic because he had to, as part of his agreement with Dallas, he had to find a way to move all of them out.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that took me to full.
Wow.
So now I'm full. I start jacking up the
Did you
rents.
move the homes for him, or how'd you handle that piece?
No, he actually paid to move the homes because that was
kidding.
part of his agreement with Dallas.
Oh,
they had given
wow.
him
You didn't even have to
a
pay to move the
stipend of a
homes.
certain
Wow.
$1,000.
By the way,
to
guys,
move
it
them.
costs a lot of money to move a home. So it
does.
was $2,500 back in the day. It's probably more than
Yeah,
now.
back then when you get done with the home and the skirting of the deck, it was probably more along the lines of $5,000.
$5,000 to move a mobile home, which is why, they're landlocked, okay, when they put a home in your park for the most part. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Okay, so Glen Haven's now working pretty good.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
And I had been self-managing it.
Oh.
I was the manager. I went out to Glen Haven every day.
Was it near your home then? Huh?
It was 15 minutes from my house.
Okay.
But that was a miserable job.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, okay, you know what? I've turned the thing around. I hired someone who already lived there to be manager.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came upon another deal, just as wacky. 65,000, 5,000 down. They'd carry 60. But this park, he did not even know who the people are, what their names were. He'd collected no rent. He had inherited this.
Oh, my God.
And he was afraid of it. And he wanted to sell it just as a bag of parts for me to explore, right? Got that one, and I just kept doing it. Turn around, all broken merchandise. I had to go in there and fix it. And that was kind of the start. And then just kept on.
Did you enjoy it?
Doing that. Well, I enjoyed the idea that I was building a really good asset base for my daughter.
Okay.
It's fun being in an industry that people don't know anything about.
Right.
You feel like Christopher Columbus. You're kind of an explorer, right?
Right.
I had a lot of interesting times as a manager.
No.
I found
a
lot of nice.
We could trade stories on
no
crazy
doubt,
stuff.
Yeah. A lot of nice people along the way.
Sure.
Probably 95% of my customers, even though they didn't have a lot of money, had good moral sensibility and were trying really hard. Had some bad apples.
Sure.
Everyone does.
Sure. You mess with me, you mess with the whole park.
Yeah, but I realized this was my new thing. So Billboards had been my first 14 years of my life. And I realized, look, maybe my movie was really the mobile home park movie, not the Billboard movie. Maybe I'd been wrong. And I've just stuck with that ever since.
No kidding. That's 30 years.
Yep.
Holy cow. 250 parks. That's a lot of parks.
It's a lot
of
parks.
Wow. And so, and to share, I was telling you before we started recording, I went to your event. I was getting back into real estate, and I was exploring different asset classes, and I was exploring mobile home parks, and I was very intrigued with mobile home parks. My good friend Kevin Bupp he's got a lot of parks now. My brother was very interested in parks and had owned some parks, and so I hired virtual assistants to geocode the whole country, where you could go on Google Earth and you could hover near other mobile home parks and find ones that weren't really classified properly, and we would geocode them, get the ownership information. I had 6 virtual assistants in the Philippines doing this. I was paying each one $1.93 an hour. So I had 6 people working for $12 an hour,
right.
and they loved, and I wasn't cheating them or anything. They were happy, and I went to you, and I reminded Dave of this, I'm sorry, Dave, Frank, forgive me. I reminded Frank of this, that we went to lunch at one of his boot camps, and I said, remember me, because I'm going to be big in this space one day. And of course I wasn't. I ended up being big in the multifamily space, but I remember telling you that. I was like, because, declarations work, guys. When you declare something, you put it out to the universe. Things happen. I share a story of Demi Lovato, on her social media said, hey, one day I'm going to sing the national anthem in the Super Bowl. And she sang the national, but when she was an unknown, sang the national anthem. So declarations work. And so I did a declaration with Frank here and ended up just being the different asset class. But but Frank, by the way, they do a really nice class on mobile home park investing, and we'll get the information on that for you before we end this thing today. And of course, it comes with my recommendation. I went twice for a reason, but But yeah, so well, let's have some fun with some funny stories from mobile home parks, because I mean, there's some very unique things that you don't find anywhere else. Like, talk about what a pond is.
Okay, well, I think when you say pond, you mean a lagoon.
A lagoon, yeah, lagoon.
Yeah, lagoon is it's basically a hole in the ground,
right,
where all of the park sewage goes,
right,
where it sits and it festers and it evaporates, and it's a nasty thing. I'll tell you a comical story on that.
Okay.
Yeah, we are very afraid of lagoons, right? So most people don't buy them, right? We knew an operator in Colorado, and we toured. You may have been on that tour.
I don't know.
Okay. We walked a mobile home park in Colorado, and this guy had a lagoon, and he had an aerator in the middle, which is something that keeps the water flowing, helps with evaporation, whatever. And so we see a rowboat sitting there by the lagoon, and I said, "So what do you do with the rowboat?" He goes, "We see that aerator." He says, "Sometimes it gets clogged up, and I go out and I fix it."
Nice.
And I said, "So you take the rowboat out and you fix it?" But I said, "Part of it is under the water." And he said, "Yeah, I dive in."
Oh my God.
Yeah, so he basically rows out, dives in, goes under the sewage, and he does it. Bottom line is, I think you have to be a Korean War vet or World War II vet to really be into that kind of stuff.
That reminds me of a movie. Oh God, what was that movie? Never mind. Indian movie with this. Never mind. Anyway, yeah, diving in the sewage. Yeah, so avoid lagoons if you see a lagoon in a mobile home park. And you know, I know one of the things with mobile home parks that let's talk about some of the things you have to be very careful of. I know what they are, but I'd rather you just shared.
Sure.
So when you're looking at a mobile home park, what are some of the things you look at to immediately discount besides a lagoon, obviously? But what are the things you look at?
Okay, well, basically there's 5 key things we look at.
Okay,
look at the infrastructure, density, obviously the economics, age of the homes, and the location.
Okay, so let's do each one of those.
Okay, sure. On infrastructure, we don't want to buy a lagoon.
Right.
We want city sewer, or we want packaging plant where you process the sewage yourself on site, or septic. Those are kind of the best.
Right.
We prefer city water if we can get it.
Right.
You've got to have pretty much paved roads, or you pretty much can't get a loan.
I see.
The bankers are pretty
even
firm.
Banks won't do them anymore.
Yeah, they don't want gravel roads. They want it paved, or you can maybe do chip and seal, which is a derivation of paving, right? And then on density,
what about electric?
Well, the electric is you have master metered electric, which is a no-no.
Okay.
Master metered gas, which is a no-no.
Okay.
Where you are the gas or the power company.
I see.
That's a bad thing, right?
Okay.
On density, you don't want to have a park that's so dense that you can literally walk from rooftop to rooftop.
Right.
Because even though mobile home parks are grandfathered, there's no grandfathering on health and safety. So if now we're talking one home catches fire, the whole place burns down, fire marshal can shut you down.
I see.
So you have to be very careful on density. The normal density in parks is about probably 10 to 15 units per acre. As you exceed that, and I've seen parks very dense. Here in Florida, there are parks which have 20 units, 22 units per acre. Then you have to check with the fire marshal whether it's okay or not.
I see.
You also have a problem where the lots get so small you can't put modern mobile homes in them, so that can be a problem.
I've seen that here, actually. I saw that on a park here. I was looking at a park on.
Okay. On the economic side, the one thing that's set in stone today and has always been is coverage ratio. So if you look at the net income a park can create, it can only handle so much of a mortgage.
Right.
So what happens today with interest rates high, and people trying to buy mobile home parks, often they bridge the gap by putting in their own money to bridge the gap between how much the park can qualify for and what the guy.
You mean they put more down to get a lower loan?
Well, they put more down just to get the deal done.
Okay. And to get the debt service coverage ratio that they need. Yeah, it's the same thing in multifamily. Typically, you need 1.25%. Is it similar in mobile home parks?
Yeah, identical.
Yeah, and so what that means, guys, is let's say, and you it's an annual calculation. Let's say the debt for the park in this case, or the multifamily in this case, is $100,000. The net income needs to be $125,000, if that makes sense. 1.25%, and it's a very simple calculation, but it's it's one of the minimums that the banks require, and sometimes they'll even want higher than that, depending upon if it's a tertiary market or what if it's one they don't consider a Class A. I forgot what the term is. Premier. No, that's not it either. But if it's not one of those markets, it could even be a little more than that. So we talked about density and economics. Was there anything else?
Well, let's go over economics a little more in depth.
Okay.
So most park buyers, even private equity groups, are trying to get to a 20% cash on cash return.
Mm.
And to get there, we have to have a 3-point spread between the interest rate and the cap rate.
Mm.
And so in our industry, often it's like an action movie where the guy's trying to jump on the back of the airplane, maybe like Mission Impossible, right? He knows that he has to first get a hold of the airplane, and then maybe he can figure out how to take control of it and fly it. A lot of times in the park business, the hardest part is structuring the initial purchase, because the park is so screwed up.
Mm.
You have all this opportunity to fix it. You can raise the rent, fill it up, cut the cost.
Right.
But before you can do that, you got to get title to it. And so often being very creative is critical. It's very critical 30 years ago, because banks hated this stuff.
Right.
So back then, to do a deal, you had to come up with some kind of financing plan with seller carry and whatever. Today, the banks like the industry a whole lot more.
Right.
Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac debt's out there, conduit debt. But still, when mom and pop have this thing, which they find very dear to their heart, and they want, $3 million for it, and it only pencils out to be worth $1 million in its current NOI.
Right.
That's the challenge, and you got to be creative.
Are there still mom and pops out there?
Tons of them.
Tons of them still?
Yeah, there's 44,000 parks in the U.S. Only 4,000 are institutionally owned.
No kidding.
Yeah, we are the least consolidated segment of real estate. So,
but I will tell you, some big players love the industry, like Warren. Talk about what Warren Buffett owns.
Yeah, Warren Buffett got into mobile home parks back in 2003, I believe, when he bought up Clayton Homes. Now he
and what is Clayton Homes?
Clayton Homes is the largest manufacturer of mobile homes in the United States, and they also own their financing arm, which is 21st Mortgage and Vanderbilt, so the largest financier of mobile homes. But Clayton was a mobile home manufacturer, financial group, and they're also a park owner. And he had to spin the parks off. He's not a REIT by structure. He's written articles on this, so he doesn't own real estate through Berkshire Hathaway.
Got it.
But he is the largest builder of mobile homes and the largest financier of mobile homes in the U.S.
And thereby the world. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. And so he believes in it.
Yep.
So what are some of the advantages of mobile home park ownership?
Well, probably the first thing that attracts people is we have a very advantageous supply versus demand positioning, because
even today,
you can't build any more mobile home parks. And I've been in this for 30 years, and in 30 years, the net number of parks has decreased rather than gone up.
Yeah. Because they find a higher and better use, maybe in some cases, or they shut them down.
That's right, and you can't get any new permits because the cities hate them.
Like the well goes out or the septic goes out,
Correct.
and you're not near city water and sewer, you're done.
Yeah,
I remember Kevin told me that when he looks at a park, if he doesn't have a plan B, if it's on well and septic, like a plan B to connect and escrow money in case that ever happens, he wasn't doing it. So I don't know if you had the same mindset on that.
Yeah, the problem you have is there's a whole lot of hostility against the mobile home.
Right. Nobody wants a mobile home in their backyard.
Nobody does.
Yeah,
nobody does.
I don't care who you are.
And the city doesn't either.
Right.
And even though the federal government talks a big game about creating affordable housing,
Right.
they're not.
No.
And they can't. And zoning is a local function, right? So it doesn't ever even happen.
Yeah, don't even try to say, hey, I'm going to put a mobile home park in here in your neighborhood. Yeah, good luck with that
and then,
one.
The problem is apartments can be stacked, right? We're on one level, can't go up 2 level. Apartments can go 3 level plus.
I've seen some funny pictures though of one where those,
yeah,
I think you have it in your presentation.
Yeah, that's correct. There was a guy that tried to build a multi-story
mobile
home park. He wanted to build a 10-story tower in Chicago.
Oh God,
of mobile homes. He built a prototype 3 stories high, and it was a catastrophe.
Oh yeah,
killed the program off.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, mobile home park locations are really good to redevelop.
Right.
The right size, right frontage, right utility access. And then, of course, the city will give you any permit you want to build anything
other than a
mobile home park. That's the problem, right? So, so supply and demand is a biggie. People like the fact you own a park. No one's building one down the street or across the street. So that's huge. People like the fact that there's typically so much room to grow rents. I know it's a sensitive topic in a country which is talking about we need rent control and stuff.
Kevin told me he made the paper on one of his. He raised the rents on. He got his leg.
I think he did. I remember reading that. Yeah. The what's unfair is the average mobile home park rent in the U.S. is about $300 to $400 a month.
Okay. In
the markets that the average mobile home park is located in, the average home is anywhere from $200 to $400,000. The average apartment is $1,000 to $2,000 a month.
It's a fraction of what they pay to
we're
live
the
anywhere else.
cheapest there is.
And they bitch if you want to raise it a little bit.
Correct. Because they only want to talk about percentage.
Now, some places will even limit you where you have to. But let's stick with advantages. I do want to talk about disadvantages after that. But let's stick with advantages.
Right. But so that's another one. Typically you can buy a mobile home park and you can find any number of things to improve on. Right, so that's a turn on because you always know there's a way you can really jack up the
you can raise the rents and there's not a whole lot they can do unless they have a lot of money, unless they have $5,000 sitting to move to go to another park.
Well, actually, what's happening more and more these days are what are called organic moves.
Okay, an
organic move is where you go to a park resident who's unhappy and say, "I'll move you from that park to my park." For no charge to you. Yeah, and we do probably 100, 200 organic moves a year in our portfolio.
I see.
And that's how the business pretty much regulates itself. It's again back to the free market concept. But to get someone so mad they want to move, you have to have a huge rent increase. I'm talking. I've seen cases where the rent was $400 and the person went to $700 in one day.
Oh wow!
Okay,
that's not cool.
That's a little extreme. We try and hold it down to normally about $50 annually.
Yeah.
Right, but there are certain cases where the rent is so far behind you can't ever get there at $50. Right.
Well, I bet that's not fun when you have homes pulled from your park by a competitor.
No, and you try and obviously retain all your customers, so you try and keep them happy. Right. So
how do you do that?
By not going up more than maybe $50 annually. And
let's talk about something we haven't talked about: park owned versus lot rent.
Sure.
Okay, because a lot of people think when you buy a mobile home park, you're responsible for the homes and the maintenance on the homes. But the model that you really want to adopt is to have them all be resident-owned homes, and you're just collecting lot rent, correct?
That's correct.
You do not want park-owned homes.
No, we
these
do
things
not
break
want park-owned homes
We want them to own their own ever, right?
Correct.
And so you'll buy a park that has them and convert them, correct?
That's exactly correct.
So speak to that dynamic for a second.
Sure. What happens is when you have rental homes, you're kind of in the apartment business, but not in the apartment business. Apartments are built well. They're built out of nice solid things like concrete and steel.
They don't have spongy floors.
Wood, and a mobile home is built on a boat trailer, basically. And so they don't last. They don't wear well. You can keep them perfect if you
take like good care of them.
China, if you have fine china, you can't put in the dishwasher. You got to wash it by hand. People get lazy, don't want to do that. So the problem is when you as a park owner own the home, this is an asset that will cost you an enormous monthly amount in repair. Right. Let's say $200 to $300 a month in repair.
Minimum. Well,
tax
that's actually light in my opinion.
There's just no money in it. If you gave the home away to somebody and said, just pay me a lot rent, you're miles ahead.
So that's the model. You'll buy the park, and it may have park-owned homes. You want the resident to buy them from you, and you can finance them on the purchase.
Correct.
And so they're paying you for the purchase of the home plus lot rent, and that's the model right there. Okay, so back to advantages. The returns are pretty good.
He's got good returns. Right. It's very passive. It's like a parking lot. Right. So once somebody moves in, all you ask of them is they pay the rent every month.
And they keep the place
follow
moderately
the park
clean.
rules.
Park rules.
But it's not a lot of action. You don't get a lot of repair calls on the lot. Right. So people like that aspect to it.
You'll have sewer lane clogs. You'll have water issues. You'll have, and any other advantages. They're not building them anymore.
Well, and there's no technological risk, right? It's not like office where suddenly
we're 50%
we're a great asset class, and then the internet steps in and destroys them.
Right.
And retail had the same issue.
And there's a huge shortage of affordable housing in this country, and it's about as affordable as you can get.
That's right. Fund rings off the hook. Correct.
Okay. Well, let's talk about disadvantages. The demographic is tough sometimes. It's the lower echelon economically.
Yeah, it's getting better though.
Getting better. Okay.
As the home prices have gone up, I'll give you an example. I was in a
Okay.
park recently, and I saw a home and a guy coming out of the home that looked like an LL Bean catalog.
No
Right?
kidding.
He's white shirt, wearing a blazer, khaki pants,
Wow.
topsiders, driving a Volvo.
Wow.
You
Mobile
know,
home.
and I
Okay.
thought, you know what, this is only possible because that guy 30 years ago would never have thought about living in a mobile home park.
Yeah.
But the houses in that market are 300 grand. He can't get
Or
into
more.
300
Yeah.
grand.
Yeah.
He don't want to live in an apartment. So this is his
That's it.
interim. He probably won't end up here, right?
Right.
He'll keep advancing in his career. He'll eventually sell the mobile home, buy a stick build.
Right.
But our clientele is getting better, I think, simply because housing has escalated so high that a lot.
So what's below mobile home parks as far as living?
Well, the lowest
I suppose
living
D-class.
Okay, if we're not talking living in your car,
right.
the lowest thing I've ever seen in the low cost housing business,
Yeah.
other than Section 8,
Right.
which okay,
Oh, that's another story.
but travel trailers.
Oh, yeah.
You will have people who will buy these $500 travel trailers.
Yeah.
And put them in an old squalid RV park with dirt roads down by the river under the bridge.
No kidding.
That's the bottom.
That's the bottom. Okay.
That's where you fall to.
So disadvantages. This infrastructure is a big one. So you've got to,
gotta know
the
your
whole water and
infrastructure.
sewer and all that. You need to be very, very careful if you're not on city water and sewer that you have a plan B. Forget the lagoon business. And
Well, let's make a simple list.
Okay.
Forget the lagoon business.
right.
Master metered power, don't do it. Master
Okay.
metered gas, don't do it.
Okay.
Those are
Why?
kind of biggies.
Why?
Well, you are a gas company or a power
Right.
company, and most people should not go into that industry. It's
Okay.
rough. I mean, if you have master metered gas, and you had an explosion or a fire, it's on you.
Ah.
If your power lines fall down in the storm, it's on you.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's rough.
It's too much risk. Got it. Okay.
For the average person,
So no
doesn't want to
master.
deal with
Okay.
that. Yeah, I get out of that stuff.
And financing is better, but it still can be challenging.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good now?
Actually, Fannie Freddie came in the last few years.
Right. I remember when I went to your boot camp, the only way you could get Fannie and Freddie, you had to have paved roads. You had to have sidewalks, I think, back then.
Yeah, it's all changed.
That's all changed.
It's all
Okay.
changed.
Okay.
Fannie Freddie, they got on board with the idea that a
Okay.
mobile home park is not typically a luxury
Right.
retirement village.
Right.
And they now do over half of all mobile home park loans annually
do?
by volume.
Okay.
Yeah, they become a huge player on it.
Okay.
So the financing has actually gotten
Is still bank
better.
financing available as well?
Yes.
Okay,
There
okay,
is.
okay.
The problem there right now are interest rates.
Well,
right?
sure,
We say the
sure.
downside, we are like any real estate susceptible to rates, and rates have gone up a ton since Jerome Powell went crazy in 22.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another big disadvantage is rent control,
Mm,
or
yeah.
even the risk
So
of
where
rent control.
where is rent control most prevalent? I mean, I know, like here in Florida, if you raise the rents too much, well, they talk about. Don't they have they have an association they put together
Yeah.
and what talk
So
about
you have
that?
two problems. We've only owned one park in Florida. Okay, but
for that reason. Okay.
but you have two things in Florida. Number one, you have a thing called the prospectus.
Okay.
Over a certain number of lots, you have to give people a forward-looking guidance of your rents.
Oh, wow. So you have to tell them
Okay.
what you're going to do before you do it.
Exactly
Wow.
correct.
Wow.
So that's a problem.
That's not good.
But also you have some very liberal tenant laws, and a new one that just got signed into law is the tenants. Even though you do not have rent control in Florida, they have the right to file for mediation when you raise the rent if they're unhappy with it. And I think Ron DeSantis said that he thought it was important that everyone have a voice.
Mm.
But this is more than a voice, because if you file mediation, then the park owner would have legal cost
Mm-hmm.
to be represented in said mediation. So,
Yeah.
Basically this whole,
What states are the worst for this?
well, you have 7 states with rent control plus District of Columbia.
Okay.
You got California.
Of course, California,
You got
New York.
Oregon. You got Washington.
Yep.
You got, help me out here. You've got
Well,
New York.
Yeah.
Right.
New
And
Jersey?
then you have some little weird ones. I don't know if New Jersey, I think
Okay.
they probably would.
Yeah.
Massachusetts has some
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. Mass, of course. Good Lord.
But yeah, those states we pretty much write off.
Just
Like nobody.
stay away. Stay
Right.
away.
The new thing is who's next, right? That's the new question.
Well, I don't know.
there's-
They've gone pretty red lately, so I don't know. Maybe you get.
Well, see, the rent control has only happened when you have the trifecta. You have to have a blue House, Senate, and governor.
Mm,
So any split in that, no one's ever passed rent control.
okay.
The only rent control right now in a split state's in Pennsylvania that's under discussion. I don't think it'll go anywhere. They have a very radically blue House in Pennsylvania, but they have a very Republican Senate. The Senate, I think they have 28 red senators versus 22 blue. And so I don't
Any
think
other states that have the trifecta?
There's a bunch. There's
right
Illinois' trifecta, New Mexico's trifecta, Colorado's trifecta. There's quite a few.
I see. So you got to worry about those states too.
Yeah. The only thing is, though, I think you also have to have not only a trifecta, but you have to have a state where the main driver is not real estate, right? And like Oregon, Washington, it's not about real estate. It's about technology and stuff like that. And they could care less about landlords.
Right.
Illinois, your governor's a real estate guy, right? Colorado, the governor is the one who vetoed rent control. They actually passed it in the House and Senate. He vetoed it.
Wow.
And he's a Democrat.
Wow.
I mean, it's not worked out for the states that have done it.
It's terrible. Terrible. It's a terrible plan. These idiots don't realize. It's just same with the minimum wage thing. It's stupid because it kills business. And,
that's exactly right.
But a lot of liberals aren't aware of the stupidity of it.
Right.
Okay.
But if you own a park in a state that does pass it.
Yeah.
That's happened to a lot of park owners in New York who did not think it was happening when he did the statewide rent control. It's very punishing because now you're frozen in time. You can only go up with inflation.
Value's based on a multiple of the net income.
Makes it bad.
Yeah, you're screwed.
Right.
So other disadvantages, I suppose. Certainly the management can be a challenge. Okay.
Absolutely correct.
I mean, don't buy a park that you cannot have an on-site manager on. What would you say the minimum is? 40 pads? What's the minimum to have a manager?
You can have an on-site even on a 10 or 15 spacer.
You could?
Yeah, but you can't bring someone in from the outside till you get to 100.
Okay.
So under 100, it's going to be someone who already lives in there.
Right.
You're going to have to work with what you got, and you may not have anyone good, and you got to work around it. That's how it works.
Yeah, that's the biggest hurdle is the management. And talk about rent collection and eviction as it relates to a mobile home, because it's different than multifamily. So
our rent is due on the 1st, late after the 5th.
Right.
We send out a demand letter typically on the 7th.
Right.
And if you don't pay, that's based on the state mandate, 5-day, 3-day, 10-day, whatever your state says. Then you file eviction, and then you always win. Tenant never shows up anymore.
No, okay.
And then after you win, you have the right to appeal for a few days. You can't appeal unless you post the amount that you owe.
The tenant can't appeal unless they post the amount they owe.
And they're never going to do that, or they pay you.
Right.
And then you have to get what's called a writ of possession or execution.
Right.
Since the mobile home, when the tenant is gone, becomes abandoned property.
Right.
It typically goes to abandoned property auction. Okay. And then it recycles around into a new resident and restarts the process.
How long is that process, including the abandonment piece of it?
Well, the abandonment piece is really takes a while.
Right. That's why I was asking.
We're in court. In a red state, you'll be in court within 30 to 60 days of the eviction filing. Okay. In a blue court, it might be months. Yeah. Right. And the big problem you have in the blue courts today are in a post-COVID world after the eviction moratorium, the judges, they grew to not like the idea of evictions. I think they think there'll be a viral video or maybe that it'll hurt their reelection campaign. I don't know what.
Yeah, my ex-partner bought some properties in Atlanta, and you couldn't evict people for upwards of a year. It was ludicrous.
We have the same problem in some markets.
Yeah.
The way you get around that today is cash for keys.
Cash for keys, yeah. Hey, I did that on an asset in Louisiana, and I don't recommend this, but it was these problem tenants, and they got in a shootout between themselves, and I was walking through the park with the manager, and I heard them blaring the music, and I pounded on the door. Boom! And a guy came, and I wasn't strapped or anything. I'm usually strapped, but you can't carry the gun to other states. And guy came to the door. I said, "Listen, I'm going to evict you, and you'll never rent again. Or if you're out of here by tomorrow, I'll give you $1,500 cash if the place is cleaned out." He took it. Two of the other people, there were actually 3 units. They all took it, and they were gone. Now, I don't recommend that. In some states, you actually there's housing laws where if you're going to do that, you have to do it for everybody. So be careful of your housing laws. I'm not promoting that, and don't do it the way I did it, like you get shot. But cash for keys is really, it can be a great solution. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So what other disadvantages are there to mobile home parks?
Man, I'll tell you, the technology has been helping a lot of the disadvantages.
Really? For example?
Well, going back to the managers today,
Okay.
all of our manager calls are recorded.
Okay.
They're tracked. We know the number coming in. We know how long they were on the phone. We know what was said.
Okay. So you mean calls to them from prospective tenants or
everything is
complaints
ported through a recording service.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
And then
So you know what's going on basically, which you didn't before,
yeah,
right?
I can scientifically track, in fact.
Right.
It's not like the old days of how many calls do we get for
Right.
that home or that lot. I know how many calls we had.
Okay.
I even know how many they answered, and I even know what they said.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that's better. HD videos, just get a GoPro, suction cup mount, put it on the roof of your car, drive through the park. They can send you that recording, and you can go to a GoToMeeting webinar, and you can actually drive the park with them virtually.
And see what's going on.
See exactly what's going on. Stop the car, reverse the car, whatever you want to do.
Whatever home may need.
Correct.
New siding around the bottom. What do you call that?
Skirting.
Skirting might need skirting. Or painted or cleaned up or yards not taken care of or whatever. Do you take care of the landscaping or
We do common area.
You do common area. Okay.
We do the entrance, but to be honest with you, we're also out there pitching in on people who can't seem to aesthetically
people or whatever
figure it out. Okay. Sometimes we'll have our mower edge their yard or weed eat.
And it serves that. That's a win-win because it keeps the park looking good.
That's
correct.
Doesn't
cost that much money.
That's correct. And see, a lot of our collections today are ACH.
Okay.
So our portfolio, we're 95% roughly ACH.
No kidding.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So the manager's not really collecting money like they used to.
Okay, so it comes right out of the checking account.
Yes, and sometimes if we want to look at something in the park, we'll call the manager and go to FaceTime.
Right.
Have them walk over and show us what it is.
Okay.
So all these technological tools.
Yeah, this is all brand new since I went to your
That's
bootcamp.
correct. It's made everything much easier for the park.
So
what
do you do? I mean, you've got a website that people will put parks on.
Mobile home park store.
Mobile home park store.
Correct.
But how are you finding park? You're probably not in acquisition mode right now.
Well, we're still buying.
You're still buying.
They're just not. At one time we bought 2 a week.
Wow.
That I don't recommend that. That's nuts. Okay. But the number one place we find parks are the brokers. Mm-hmm. So over half of our stuff came from brokers. Mm-hmm. So we're big on brokers. Okay. Then you have of the remaining half of the stuff we've bought, it's kind of a toss up of cold calling and direct mail. And then the smallest fraction is online.
Online, yeah. Okay.
A lot of times online becomes like the elephant final resting spot, right? I mean, it's stuff that doesn't move.
Everybody's looked at it. There's a reason they haven't bought it.
Exactly correct.
It's
you see things out there that sit around for years, and there's a reason for that.
What's the scariest situation you ever encountered with a park?
Scariest situation where I thought I was actually maybe in deep trouble.
Yeah.
Actually happened when I would least expect it, back at my first park.
Oh.
After we turned it around and everything was going great, I was just over there meeting with my manager named Stephanie. Husband was in the VA hospital, and she was there she's now since moved on. But I was just at the office just saying, Stephanie, man, you're doing great. Place is looking great. And suddenly 3 guys come in the office and they don't even say a word. And they start ransacking it with us just sitting there, going through every cabinet drawer.
Wow.
We were in a mobile home. Our office was in a mobile home. And they had one guy just stand right in front of us. I assume he had a pistol. He never showed any weaponry. And they just ransacked the entire house. And then they looked at each other and they were like, there's nothing here. And they just left.
Wow.
And that, I think what it was about is they knew that typically
might be some cash.
Right. That it's collections time at the start of the month. And they had a new plan, which was to go rob mobile home park offices at the start of the month. What they didn't know is we'd already made the deposit. And even if we had made the deposit, all we had were checks and money orders.
Right.
We don't take cash.
Right.
But that's one benefit of ACH, right? Is it's taking the money out of the office.
Right.
And so that was probably my scariest moment.
Wow.
I was attacked by a dog, believe it or not, again, just dropping by a park.
Wow.
To tell the lady how great it was looking. And I got out of my car.
So no good deed goes unpunished.
No, and it wasn't even a dog in the park. It was a dog that had been running loose.
Oh my God.
For another property, big old German Shepherd. And it just decided it wanted to eat my leg. For a buffet, and then came the issue: did I need to have to get rabies shots? and they had to send the dog in to be, whatever,
Euthanized,
analyzed.
right?
That was bad.
Yeah, wow.
But, I haven't had any really terrifying business things. It's mostly been terrifying things you never thought of.
So you haven't. So I really, the question was more geared towards scary business. Like have you had a park where an infrastructure went out and you're like, holy crap? Like,
my
tell me the worst one there.
Okay, first scary infrastructure story. My very first park, Glen Haven.
Oh, the same one.
Yeah,
okay.
middle of the winter, right? I get a call from the manager. Hey, we got a problem. We got no gas. And I thought maybe I'd not paid the bill. So I called up the gas company and said, hey, got this mobile home park. Are you sure I owe any money on it? No, you're paid in full. Huh. Well, then gosh darn it, my gas is out. Well, hold on. Let me connect you over to this other thing. And the guy says, dude, we turned your gas off because there's leaks in it. And I said, well, what do I do? He says, you got to fix the leaks, pressure test, and we'll restart you. Yeah. So I had no gas. And I call a plumber, and he goes out, he excavates and says, we can't fix this thing. You've got millions of little pinhole leaks in your pipe.
You had to run all new line.
Right. And I said, well, how long would that take? Oh, it'd probably take us months. I said, well, what do I do in the interim? Because I have no idea. And I called up the guy I bought it from where I put the 10 grand down. Then I said, dude, I think I'm going to give this back to you.
Right.
Because I got no heat, no hot water, no way for 80 people to survive in the dead of the winter. And he, like your story with Kevin Bupp and the Plan B, he said, oh no, I already got this figured out. We're going to change to propane. Okay. Again, I'm a neophyte at that time. I don't know anything about mobile home parks. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. He goes, here, call Northwest Propane, tell them to bring over 83 tanks, start installing them. So he already had pre-masterminded when this happened. Never told me about it, obviously.
Right. Didn't want to scare you.
So right. But then the problem is I had to keep the people happy for a month.
Wow.
He can only do 2 tanks a day.
Wow.
How do you keep people happy for a month without any heat, hot water, whatever? We did it.
You were able to pull it off.
Free
rent, whatever. I mean.
That's correct. I had my manager, Stephanie. She was great with people. And she would go around to people and say, look, I'm really sorry we got nothing, but here's what we're doing. I'm bringing in Domino's Pizza. She would build bonfires. They would cook hot dogs at the bonfire. And every day, 2 homes had heat.
Wow.
She would then tell people, hey, would you mind if people came over and like took a shower in your house?
Oh, yeah.
Would you mind if they could like hang out in the heat?
So she did all that for you.
She saved the day.
Wow.
She's my MVP from the early years. Nobody else could pull that off but her. Anyone else, I would have been up in the newspaper or shut down.
Wow. Yeah, they'll shut you down for stuff
Absolutely
like that
correct.
too. God, that's a nightmare. Well, that's a good one. That's a good one. Well, like I said, I believe in the asset class for sure. And but you've got to be aware of the pitfalls and the advantages, and knowing what you know now about the business, would you do anything else differently in this trajectory that you've had?
Well, first thing, don't ever buy a park like I bought my first one. You got to do due diligence. You got to know what the heck you're buying.
Yeah, like you talked about that. Like, by the way, if you don't know what a phase 1 is, guys, that's an environmental report. If you get seller financing, you don't have to. Any bank will require it. They'll require a survey as well. But if you get seller financing, which is very common in the mobile home park space because of the high debt and costs and everything right now, it's probably even more prevalent right now, doing creative deals. But here's the problem: if there was ever a dry cleaner there, if there was ever a gas station, if there was ever any problem, if the EPA comes in, let's say you bought the house or bought the property yesterday, the EPA comes in today, you're responsible. Doesn't matter what happened, who owned it prior. And so you're crazy not to do a phase 1. Second thing is a survey. You don't know if you're encroaching on other people's land or they're encroaching on you. And so those are, so due diligence.
Let me tell you a story in a survey once about a park in Missouri.
Okay.
And went to refinance it years later. Mm-hmm. And they said, you don't actually own that park. The neighbor owns 1/3 of your park, including your entrance.
Oh my God.
And you own the other part. And what had happened is this was a deal with a seller carry.
Wow.
With a survey, and I had never gone out to actually check the boundary because I was an idiot, didn't know what I was doing.
Wow.
And it turned out that his boundary, the park was not on his land; it was on the neighbor. Now the crazy ending to this was, I had a lawyer go to the neighbor
Okay.
and say, look, we don't know if you know this or not, but this park is apparently on your land. The neighbor who was a farmer was concerned this would cause title problems for him when he died. So he gifted us.
Oh, thank God that
the
worked
portion
out.
we didn't know.
That
right?
worked out.
What a mess otherwise. I
Oh,
had no
my
entrance
God.
and right.
Oh my
so
God.
yeah, you got to have a survey. You got to have a phase.
And you got to look at it.
title. You got to have all that stuff.
Yeah, title.
Some old guy says, "I'll sell you this thing."
Right.
Here's a bill of sale.
Right.
No, you can't do it. You got to do
it right.
Yeah, a lot of the old timers, they were of a different era in American history,
Sure.
right? The World War II generation.
Right.
People didn't sue each other.
Right.
People were reasonable. Used
Handshake
common
deals.
sense.
Right.
Handshake deals. That's all over now.
That's gone.
Got to play it by the book.
Yeah. And I'm on the tip edge of the baby boomers. I turned 65 in January, and there's 10,000 of us turning 65 a day right now.
Every day.
That's why I'm getting into senior housing. I'm really excited about that asset class. But okay, so do your due diligence, basically, is what you do differently. Would you do anything differently in the growth piece of this? Of what
you mean as far as how big we grew?
Yeah, how big you grew, or would you do larger parks? Would you do anything differently?
No, I mean, our average park size has been about 100 lots.
Okay.
And that's a pretty good size.
Yeah, it's a good size.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
The markets we were in, we were lucky. We stuck with the Great
Midwest.
Plains and the Midwest,
Mm-hmm.
middle of America,
Mm-hmm.
no giant
Mm-hmm.
peaks, but also no giant gullies
Mm-hmm.
in the performance. So that's been good.
Mm-hmm.
So, life is a tapestry of all your little lessons learned, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so clearly there were parks in the early days I would never bought today.
Right.
Because I've learned too much.
Right.
But I could have never gotten to today if I hadn't bought those early parks, right?
Same,
I can't really say I want to wind the clock back at all, to be honest with you.
So you've coached a lot of people like I have now, and I've had almost 17,000 people attend my boot camps. What suggestions, and so I'd love to hear your take on this question. What suggestions would you have for someone that they've got a job, they know they want more out of life.
Yep.
They may be happy with the job, but they don't have the freedom that they want for themselves and their family. Speak to them. What would you suggest?
Yeah, the first thing is if you really think about your time, right? Americans waste a ton of time. If you look back at how it used to be in the olden days, the average American basically worked probably 12 hours a day, 6 and 7 times a week, right? And today, we're pretty soft compared to the old days.
Right.
The average person's working 8 hours, 5,
if
40
that,
hours.
and they're really actually working 4 or 5 of those hours.
Right. So you only spend 1/3 of your time on a weekday working.
Right.
Right. So then you got 16 hours to kill. What are you doing with that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're going to sleep 8 of that. Hopefully, you need to be healthy.
Right.
But it leaves you 8, and people squander that 8.
Right.
Right. So what I would first propose to people is stop squandering your 8 hours. Stop squandering all of your entire weekend and put it to good use, right? In the time that you're watching TV or something which is not good for you physically, it's not good for you mentally, apply it to trying to make money or do something.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you need multiple streams of income. I know it's a cliche, but it's so true today when America's so screwed up, you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
You don't want to be all in on one thing. You want to have diversity. But when someone tells me I don't have the time, that's the worst. I don't care if it's a manager or anyone. That never use that phrase. You look like a moron when you say I don't have the time. Like, I didn't call you back. I don't have the time to call you back. Yeah. Everyone has the time to do these things. So you got to get more mastery in your time. Yeah. And then you got to find something you really believe in, because if you're not enthusiastic, it's not going to work out. And I know people tell people, follow your passion. Well, sometimes your passion has no money in it. Like if my passion is to play a harmonica, I'm probably not going to be able to make it in Nashville. But real estate is something that most people have the aptitude to do. Yeah. Right. And the nice thing to me about real estate is it's not employee heavy. Right. Which is one big problem in today's world. Employees are maybe more toxic than the residents a lot of times.
They're a pain in the ass a lot of times. Right. I happen to have an incredible team, so those of you listening.
Sure. Well, but I'm just saying that, if you're someone with a day job, you can do real estate. Yeah. You can pull this off. I mean, you can't maybe open a Subway sandwich shop. Employee doesn't show up, your day job, what do you do? Go bankrupt? But real estate, as far as that extra income stream, it's the track record proven winner right? I mean, it's
90% of the world's millionaires either made it in real estate or invest in real estate.
there you
for
go,
a reason.
bingo, exactly correct.
You know, I've got scores of students that had full-time jobs, kids, families, soccer, and they did this on the side and eclipsed their W-2 income and retired from the W-2 job. So, you know, don't tell me you can't. Thank you. Don't tell me you don't have time. I agree with that 100%. Do you think there's a certain kind of person that's better than another that's suited for this business?
You know, the key attributes of the people I see that succeed in mobile home parks and other stuff are people who are very persistent.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it. They just do it.
And I don't know what makes some people persistent and some give up so easily.
Yeah.
I really don't. I mean, I see it.
It's not IQ.
It's not IQ.
It's not money. It's not where
they
income,
live. It's not background.
That's
it's an internal fight mechanism.
Yeah.
I guess you have more caveman fight or flight going on,
Well,
and you refuse to quit.
That's why the first thing we do at my boot camps is goal setting, because you got to figure out what you want and why you want it. So that's how you push through those setbacks, and because you know life's going to punch you in the nose. Period. It's going to happen. It's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when. But if you've got enough motivation to push through because you're clear on what you want, So let me ask you this: did you have any mentors at all in your growth here?
You know, I used to read a lot of biographies. That was kind of my hobby, but mostly business and military.
Any stand out?
Gosh, a lot.
So many.
I mean,
okay.
You know,
you saw my library downstairs, and you see us do the same thing.
I mean, I'm a big reader.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a real mentor, but I had a lot of people that helped me.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the billboard business, I had people who were very, very nice to me when I was starting out and didn't know what I was doing. My first billboard was a veterinarian who said to me, "Look, you don't know what you're doing, but you need a break. So yeah, I'll sign your lease."
Wow.
And then he said, "Here, call my dad." I called his dad. His dad said, "Oh yeah, here, you can put one on my land. I don't care."
Wow.
So I think all of us in business, you know, we have a huge support network of people who were just nice to us. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And they were normally old. I think the greatest generation people were phenomenal. Right. My people who helped me the most starting out were people that are defined as greatest generation. So people born back in the
Boomers.
20s.
Oh, 20s.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
You know,
Okay.
and earlier.
Yeah.
World War II veteran people.
Yeah.
And very, very nice,
Salt of the
helpful. Right. And in the park business, I mean, everybody played a role. Right. And so I didn't have a mentor. Like I didn't have someone say, "Okay, here, you do this." It was like a continual deal, but I had a big support network of just normal, nice people.
Gotcha. You know, I do clips every week called Own Your Power to motivate people. They're 5-minute clips about motivation, mindset, taking action. What's been the driver for you to work as hard as you've worked and create a 5th largest mobile home park ownership in the country? What's been the driver?
Well, I mean,
why?
I get bored easy.
Okay.
That's one of my superhuman skills. I can't sit down. I like to keep going, and I like to multitask. So I always have to have something I'm working on, and I've always had a fascination with fixing stuff. Right. And
I enjoy that too.
You know, mobile home parks, when you buy them, they're normally always screwed up. And you fix them. Yeah. And even in the billboard business, you know, most of my billboards came from buying billboards during the savings and loan crash, trying to solve them. Like, you know, how do I fix this? I'd have to go back and renegotiate the ground rent or do something differently. So I've always been a fixer kind of person.
Gotcha.
And this industry, since it's screwed up, there's a lot of fixing potential in it.
Okay.
So, and then I really enjoy the people aspect of it. Yeah. I'm kind of a salesman by nature, and I enjoy trying to cut deals and fix stuff. I like teaching. I just like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, got it. So how do people find out about your, because I know you're a coach and you do virtual events. How do people find you?
Yeah, you just go to mhu.com.
MHU.
Yeah, it stands for mobilehomeuniversity.com.
Okay, and it's all there.
Everything is there.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate you coming down here, brother. It's good to see you again. I know you don't remember me, but I remember you.
Faces. I know your face. I'm terrible with names.
Fair enough. Well, I'm same. I mean, when you've been in front of thousands of people like I have, it all runs together. But thanks for coming down here. It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.